The manager slid the termination letter across the desk. Said, "This is the third time this month, James." "You are fired." James looked at the letter. He did not argue. He did not explain.
I promised her.
He reached into his jacket pocket, pulled out a tiny pink hair clip, set it on the desk beside the letter, said quietly, "My daughter needed me one last time this morning." The manager looked at the hair clip, then at James. He did not understand yet. Drop a comment right now and tell us where in the world you are watching from. And if you are not yet subscribed to Turning Point Tales, hit that subscribe button now. This story is going to stay with you. James Carter was 37 years old. He had worked at Riverside Warehouse for 4 years, shift supervisor, reliable, the kind of employee who stayed late when someone called in sick and never asked for anything extra in return. He raised his daughter, Amara, alone. Her mother had left when Amara was 3. Not dramatically. She just stopped coming home one day and eventually sent a message saying she needed a different life. James had read that message, put his phone down, picked Amara up from the floor where she was playing, held her for a while, then he made dinner. And he had been making dinner every night since. Amara was 8 years old. She liked dinosaurs and drawing and the particular shade of purple that she called real purple because no other purple was the right one. She had a collection of hair clips in every color she approved of. The pink one was her favorite. James had bought it for her 6th birthday. It was small enough to fit in a jacket pocket. He kept it there on the days he missed her especially. The lateness started in November. Not much at first. 7 minutes one morning, 12 minutes another. By December, he was arriving 30 to 40 minutes late 3 times a week. His manager, Derek, noticed immediately. Derek Cole was a good manager in most ways. He was fair. He communicated clearly. He did not play favorites. But he ran a warehouse that ran on schedules, and James was disrupting the schedule. He spoke to James twice. The first time, James said, "I am sorry. It will not happen again." The second time he said the same thing. Derek said, "James, if there is something going on," James said, "I am fine. Thank you, sir." He was not fine, but he had decided that he did not want the people he worked with to look at him differently. He did not want the particular weight of being pitied. He had carried enough weight already, so he carried this one quietly too. The morning of the third conversation was a Thursday in January. James had been at the children's hospital since 5 in the morning. Amara's appointment had run long. She had fallen asleep in the chair after the session, and he had sat with her until she woke up. He could not leave while she was asleep. He arrived at the warehouse at 9:40. His shift started at 8. Derek was waiting. The letter was already printed. James sat across from Derek's desk. He looked at the termination letter. He thought about Amara asleep in the chair. The way she had looked holding the pink clip because she said it made her feel better when the things they gave her made her feel sick. He thought about the collection of hair clips in every color she approved of. He reached into his pocket, set the pink clip on the desk, said, "My daughter needed me one last time this morning." Derek looked at the clip, said, James stood up, said, "It is all right." He picked up the clip, left the letter on the desk, walked out. His co-worker Tony was in the corridor. Tony had never liked James much. James was too quiet for Tony's taste, too contained. Tony said, "Got fired, huh?" James said nothing. Tony said, "Should have shown up on time." Simple enough. James walked past him, got in his car, drove to the pharmacy, picked up Amara's medication, drove home, made her lunch, helped her with a drawing she had been working on for 2 weeks, a dinosaur purple, real purple. She had specific ideas about the scales. He held the paper while she pointed and said, "There, that one. More like that one." He fixed the scales. She said, "Better." He said, "You are very particular." She said, "The dinosaur has to be right. He said, "The dinosaur is right." She said, "I know. I just wanted to make sure you knew." He laughed. She laughed too, and for a moment in the middle of everything, it was just them laughing about a purple dinosaur, and the scales had to be exactly right. It was 3 days later that Derek found out. His phone rang. Dr. Adaz, Amara's oncologist. She was calling on behalf of James. He had listed the hospital as an emergency contact. She said, "Mr. Cole, James Carter listed this workplace as his emergency contact. He is having difficulty with transport costs getting his daughter to her treatments." I wanted to make sure his employer was aware. Derek said, "Treatments." Dr. Adazi said, "His daughter has been in chemotherapy since October. She attends 3 mornings a week. He brings her himself, every time." Derek sat at his desk. He said, "3 mornings a week." Dr. Adazi said, "Yes." Derek said, "Since October." She said, "Yes." The line was quiet for a moment. He said he never told anyone. She said he did not want to be treated differently. He told me that when I offered to provide a letter for his employer, he said, "I will handle it." Derek put the phone down. He sat in his office for a long time. He thought about the pink hair clip. My daughter needed me one last time. Not lazy, not careless, not disrespectful of the schedule. A father sitting with his sick daughter until she woke up. Every single time. Carrying it quietly so nobody would look at him differently. Derek went to Tony, told him. Tony was quiet for a moment. He said, "I said he should have just shown up on time." Derek said, "I know." Tony had nothing else to say. Derek found James through a mutual contact. He was working a small construction job on the other side of the city. Day labor, cash in hand. Derek drove over himself, found James on a lunch break, sitting on a low wall eating a sandwich. He sat down beside him without being invited. James looked at him. Derek said, "Dr. Adaz called me?" James looked away. Derek said, "I am sorry, James." James said, "You did not know." Derek said, "You should have told me." James said, "I did not want the looks, the sympathy, the different voice people use." He said, "I just wanted to work and take care of my daughter and keep those two things separate." Derek said, "I understand." James said, "No, you don't." Derek accepted that. He said, "I want to offer you your job back. Better pay. Flexible hours for Amara's appointments. No questions asked." James looked at the ground for a moment. He said, "Why?" Derek said, "Because I fired a man for taking his daughter to chemotherapy, and I will carry that." He said, "And because you are the best employee I have and I was not paying enough attention." James was quiet for a while. He said, "I am not angry at you." Derek said, "You should be." James said, "Maybe, but I have enough to carry." He said, "People judge too quickly. That is not a crime. It is just human." He said, "I will come back." He came back on a Monday morning. Derek had spoken to the whole team, every single one of them. He told them about Amara, about the appointments, about the pink hair clip. Tony sat in that meeting and did not speak once. After the meeting, he found James at his station. He said, "James, I am sorry. What I said in the corridor." James looked at him, said, "It is all right, Tony." Tony said, "It is not." James said, "No, but I am telling you, it is because my daughter is still fighting, and I do not have time for anything that is not about her." Tony nodded. He did not say anything else. Derek set up the emergency support fund the same month James came back. Any employee in crisis, medical, financial, family, they could apply. No questions about why, no judgment about the need. He named it quietly, did not make a fuss about it. Just changed the way the company worked. Because one pink hair clip on a desk had shown him what his systems had missed. 6 months after James came back to work, Amara rang the bell. The bell at the children's hospital that patients ring when they have finished their last treatment. It is loud and bright, and the whole ward can hear it. James stood in the hallway outside. He heard it ring. He covered his mouth. He had not cried since her diagnosis. Not once. Not in front of her. Not in the car on the way home. Not in the evenings after she fell asleep. He had carried it quietly, the way he carried everything. But when that bell rang, he could not hold it. He sat down on a chair in the hospital corridor, and he cried. For everything he had carried. For everything she had been through. For the mornings at 5 in the ward. For the pink hair clip in his pocket. For the termination letter on the desk. For the construction job and the sandwich on the wall. For all of it. He cried. Derek was there. The whole team had come. Tony was there. Amara came out of the treatment room. She saw her father, walked over, put her hand on his shoulder, said, "Dad, why are you crying?" He said, "Because you rang the bell." She said, "You said I was going to ring the bell." He said, "I know I did." She said, "So why are you surprised?" He laughed. She said, "You always cry at the right parts." He pulled her close. She let him. She was 8 years old, and she had just beaten cancer, and her father had carried everything, quietly, without complaint, without asking anyone for anything. All he had asked for was to be there when she needed him, even when it cost him everything. Especially then. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video and subscribe to Turning Point Tales. We will see you in the next one.